The days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer, and that's when the werewolves come out. Ow!
Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 372 for Monday, August the 19th, 2024. And I hope you had a great weekend. And I'm just going to show you what I have been working on very briefly tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. I'll talk about a few little things about these in more detail. So here's the first thing. This is called Pumpkin Parade, and this is a pattern designed by Stephanie Stitches. And you know how I love Stephanie's patterns. And yeah, I had some gnome fabric that I want to use in this that was Halloween themed, and I think it turned out pretty nice. Now this, of course, is just the top. I have to get it on Lucy, and I'm thinking of getting her on Lucy later today and get it quilted. So maybe next week I'll have this completely finished and ready to show you then. This one is a mess. And it is the quilt that I made completely on my serger. More as an experiment than anything else. I used a Christmas jelly roll for this. At first glance, it's very colorful, but when you start examining it close up, you'll see some of the problems. And I talked about this at length in So Chatty this past week with Quilter. And so if you're interested in how I feel about making a quilt on a serger, then you'll want to see So Chatty from last week. And this is the top of Happy Halloween. This is the project I've been working on with Kim McCowan from Atlantic Coast Embroiderers Facebook group. She's the moderator, and she took an existing pattern that she got permission to do so and digitized the appliques so that it could be done on our embroidery machine, and I was her tester. And this is the top. It's all done. It looks a little different from the original design of the pattern that these images came from, and that's okay. And yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more in detail come tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. And this one is also waiting to get on Lucy, and I have some plans for it too. But again, I will talk about that in more detail tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. Okay, so that takes me to YouTube channel of the week. And I know everybody probably has one of these by now. They've been around for a while, an air fryer. We've had one for quite a while. We had an active fry. That's the round one with the stirrer blades in it. And we decided to upgrade to the basket style. And I'm glad that we have done that because we're using it quite a bit and it works really, really well. So people love to do things with their air fryers, things that you didn't think you could do with your air fryers, or maybe you shouldn't do with your air fryers. And that's what this week's YouTube video clip is all about. It's called Everyone's Buying an Air Fryer After Seeing This 20+1 Genius Ideas. Very, very thought-provoking, and, well, there might be some things in there you want to try as well. Here's my review of that video. This week's YouTube video is a cooking one, and right now I think there isn't probably anyone who doesn't have an air fryer in one shape or form or the other, because they're all the rage right now. I know that we used to have an active fry, but we've upgraded to an air fryer somewhat like the one that you see in this video. Not quite the same, but that type, the basket type of air fryer. And we love it. But we came across this website just recently, and he has a lot of really neat things you can do in your air fryer. Now, some of them are a little off the wall, and I don't know if I would ever try them or not because they just seem ridiculous. But he has a very wonderful cinematography. He's got a great filming sense because his videos are very dramatic. They keep you entertained as he shows you some basic cooking methods. Now, there's not a lot of talk in these videos, which is not a bad thing. He does it all visually with some text coming up on the screen. But there are some very interesting ideas. So if you want to try something a little unusual in your air fryer, then I suggest you check out Everyone's Buying Air Fryer after seeing this 20+1 Genius Ideas. So check it out. So the link for that video is in the show notes below. There is also a link for our weekly Sew with Stephanie and Stephen Zoom. There is a couple of links for my patterns that I've made. A while ago I made these now, and they're still available on my Google Drive for you free if you're interested. And a link to all my friends' channels as well. And I hope you're supporting them, and if you've never heard of them, check them out. You won't be disappointed. And of course, I have some other links there for things I'm going to talk on in a moment, or talk about, not on, about in a moment. And a link to all my past week's videos as well. So let's take a look at the weather, shall we? And there it is. I've got it up there on the screen. This is what it's looking like at about 6:45 a.m. Monday morning. You can see that we haven't got full sunlight at the moment. The sun is still kind of rising. And as I look out my windows right now, it looks a little less bright than this seems to be showing. And if you look over to the right-hand side, you can see the light in the room I'm in right now shining out through the window behind the Rose of Sharon. The Rose of Sharon, by the way, that's that bush with the purple flowers. It looks magnificent this time of the year. This isn't really a great picture of it, but it is getting a little too bushy. So Walter said come this fall he's going to cut it back a little bit because it's starting to take over. And see a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I think those are Rose of Sharon flowers. They only last so long and then more bloom each day kind of a thing. And they drop off. I think that's what's all over my step. We've had some wind and some rain this past week. Some parts of where I live really had some flash flooding too. In spots you don't really expect it to be. The city just east of Toronto, that a lot of people consider to be part of Toronto, but it is not, Mississauga. I just saw a YouTube thing of the streets flooding. Now, they didn't say in that report exactly in Mississauga where it is, but I suspect it was near the river that runs through a part of Mississauga called the Port Credit. But it was pretty bad. And, you know, I know in other people watching this from other areas of North America would go, yeah, really? That's not much. But to us, it was a lot. I mean, cars were floating. Okay, so yeah, that is not a sight we see very often in this particular little pocket of southern Ontario. But anyways, I'm not sure what today's forecast is supposed to be. I think if I take a look on my phone, right now it's currently, okay, let me see, weather. Where's my weather app? There it is. Okay, so currently it's 15 degrees C with a high of 20. Well, that's not cold, but not hot. It's just very, very comfortable. And supposedly today it doesn't look like there's any rain in the forecast. Doesn't look like there's any rain in the forecast for the next week and a bit. And I'm just checking here what it says about precipitation. Where is precipitation? Yeah, okay, so looks like this week's going to be pretty clear. And temperatures are going up this week and into next week too. So yeah, summer's not over yet. Thank goodness. In fact, the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition in Toronto, always happens in the last 2 weeks of August. So that may be starting up this week. Or maybe it started on the weekend. I'm not sure. We don't bother to go to it because it's a zoo. But anyways, that's usually if you know when the CNE comes around that, yeah, that's the end of summer. But that's okay. It's not like I have to get thinking about being back in school. That's such a distant memory. Hard to believe I'm starting my 13th year of retirement. I don't know where the time has gone. I really don't. Anyways, now I sound like an old man. So let's continue sounding like an old man. Let's talk about what's pissing me off this week. Okay, we're all pissed off at scammers, aren't we? And they are getting worse, and they're getting more aggressive. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Now they are bombarding our cell phones, the text message area of our cell phones, and they're very sneaky the way that they're attacking us. Walter got one last night while we were watching the YouTubes. One came up and it goes, "Hi, Linda, haven't spoken to you in a long time. Just wondering what you're doing. Let me know." That's a phishing message. They want to see if the number is operating. If Walter was to send a text back and go, "Hi, I'm not Linda, you've got the wrong number," which would be probably most people's nature to do, then they've got you and they know your number is active. So the best thing to do with text messages that come from unknown sources is ignore them. Or what I do is I usually block them as well. Of course, the blocking doesn't help much. All it does is make you feel like you've done something to protect yourself from scammers. It's the same with unsolicited emails that you get that they're phishing for something or worse. I block those all the time, but to be quite honest, I'm pretty sure it doesn't do much. And the reason for that is because your service provider, they lie. I'm going to tell you right up front, they lie. Bell Canada lies. Bell Canada tries to tell you that, oh yes, your security is important to them and they've got it all under control. They don't. If they did, I wouldn't have as many scam emails as I do have. Now, to be fair, I'm not sure what they can do technologically wise to block things like that, but I think in this day and age, if a hacker can get in and bug you with scam messages, I am sure these service providers that have millions and millions and millions of dollars behind them for technological development can develop something that would be more effective than what they're currently using. I do remember years ago with Bell Canada, they were toting the fact that you would get a free copy of McAfee Virus Protector automatically with your subscription to their service. Yeah. First of all, McAfee sucks. I don't even know if McAfee is still around. Actually, there's some scandal about the guy who started all of that. I saw it on Netflix or something. Can't remember exactly what that was about. But anyways, and they will never sell your information to third parties. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. They're just liars. But they'll deny it to your face no matter what. And another group that's a bunch of liars is our government. Well, is that a surprise? Not really. All governments lie, don't they? But the government's always said, oh, that they're protecting your interests and all this kind of stuff. Why they put in legislation here in Canada that stiff penalties. Stiff penalties. If a scammer gets you. No, they have a reporting system. You can fill out a form online about, being pestered by scammers and that. And where's that form go? Well, it probably goes into the circular file. If you think about it, you know what I'm talking about. Garbage can. Yeah, they don't do anything. And again, our government, our tax dollars, lots of money there. They could do something, but they don't. I mean, I know a government could do something because in China they have. China limits what can get into their national system of the internet. Okay, I know the problem there is that's a form of censorship, but it is also a form of protection too, isn't it? This was predicted when they used to call it the World Wide Web and everybody got on board with that. The futurists and scholars and everybody else, academics out there, did predict that for all the good that the internet will bring to us, there will be an equal amount, if not more so, of bad. And they are right. They were absolutely right. And they even said, there needs to be, right off the bat, there needs to be some sort of government regulation on a worldwide scale for this. Governments ignored it. Again, the cry of censorship, freedom of the people, freedom of opinion, all this crap. Because if you think about it, we really don't have any of those freedoms. And if you believe we do, what planet are you living on? Or better yet, what country are you living in? Because I'd love to come to there. No, they've done nothing, and now it's just gotten out of control. I don't know what they can do, but they need to do more than they're doing now. Oh, the police, which are part of the government, basically. Every now and then you'll see a news report. Oh, they got all these cyber crime criminals out there, and the whole bit. Yeah, for every one they get, 100 more pop up, and it's annoying. For one thing, it's dangerous. For another thing, your identity can be stolen. And if any of that happens to you, what's your recourse? What's your recourse for that? And you can say, oh well, I have two-factor authentication on everything I go into, and I'm very conscious, and I clean out my cookies on my computer, and I never answer unsolicited emails, and I never open things I shouldn't open, and I keep everything private and secret and all that kind of stuff. And yet you could still get scammed because, as I said, scammers are getting more sophisticated. And with the development and very rapid development of AI programming, I mean, I saw an ad the other day that a new HP computer with built-in AI. Now, yes, it may be a bit of a ploy to have you buy a new computer, but everybody's got it. The new iPhones that are coming out in the fall all have AI features to them. It's going to get to the point where you will not be able to tell the difference between an AI scammer and just a regular scammer, because scammers are using AI, and they're using it now. And it's just getting ridiculous. So you can have yourself as protected as much as you want, but if we don't have a level of protection that comes from our authority figures, our governments, our leaders out there in whatever form they're in, whether they're in our parliament or they're in our police force or whatever, we can't depend on them to protect us either. And it's just a sad state of affairs. If you saw Stephen and Walter live yesterday, I said another thing, and it wasn't about scammers, but scammers contribute to this. I talked about, are we really evil people? Are we negative? And everything we see on the news is very negative, and we start to believe that people are absolutely heartless in this day and age. Well, scammers contribute to the problem of racism in our world because, and we all know which countries most of the scammers originate from, and that isn't the whole, everybody that lives in that country is a scammer. No, but you start to think they are because of the bombardment of stuff that comes from the scammers. And of course, when you have new people coming into your country that may come from one of those countries, automatically in your brain, and even though you know logically you should not do this, emotionally you do. You're suspicious of them, to say the least. And that's where racism comes from too. So you see, scammers have such a wider effect on our lives than just on our financial situation. They also affect us emotionally, intellectually, everything. And it's not getting any better. So this is why we need our governments to stand up to these, to do something. And it may have to be radical. And yes, it may become controversial as well, because it will. Because we have the ability to have free opinions in North America. And we like to use that right, as we call it, on a regular basis. So I don't know. It's an endless battle. I guess we just have to look after ourselves the best we can and hope for the best. Okay, so that takes me to, usually at this point, I show you how things are growing in my garden. Well, they've gone a little bit dormant. I don't know if it's the weather or because we're getting, a little bit closer to the end of the growing season. We learned that we should not have our tomatoes get fully ripe on the vine, that the plant really isn't producing any more nutrients at the point when they're starting to get red, and you should pick them and let them ripen indoors off the vine. So we've started doing that, and it does work. And so we're trying that, always trying new things. But essentially, actually, the pot gardens this year have not looked as good as they have in other years. Um, I mean, they've produced stuff. We've had a great harvest with it, but they just look ratty. And I really don't know why. I think it is the heat more than anything else. Um, but anyways, I thought instead of showing you pictures of that, I would show you my other little, well, it is sort of a hobby, and that's my philodendrons. I think I've shown them to you before, but my kitchen garden, as I call it, except it's not a kitchen garden, it's just philodendrons, and you can't eat them, they're poisonous. But I started this when it was COVID, and well, it's getting not out of control, but well, let me insert a little video I made explaining all of this. So this week I thought I'd show you what I have growing in my kitchen as opposed to what's growing on the deck or under the grow lights, because quite frankly, they don't look any different than the pictures I showed you last week. These are my philodendrons, and I started these plants during COVID from cuttings from the mother plant. The mother plant, which is not in this picture, is in another corner of the kitchen. It's a pretty old plant. It belonged to Walter's sister, his oldest sister, who passed away over 10 years ago. So we've had that plant for at least 10 or 11 years, and it does fine. But during COVID, I thought, well, I'd take a few clippings and root them and see what I came up with. Well, it kept going and going and going, as you can see. And I've just about filled up, still got some space, the counter, the little drop-down counter from the main counter in the kitchen. Now, our kitchen is attached to our family room off to the left. You can't really see it in this picture, but it's an open concept. And I just kind of think they bring a little bit of brightness because of their bright green leaves into our kitchen area. It's nice when you're sitting having dinner at the table that if you look over there, you just don't see suddenly like dishes and things piled up. Not that there would be dishes piled up. I don't allow that. That's a habit I got from my mother, actually. But nevertheless, it's just kind of, it's almost like a room divider of such, I guess. However, this is the one plant that I really don't kill. It grows for me. It doesn't take a lot of care and maintenance. I only usually have to give them a little bit of water once every 2 to 3 weeks. And I think it's just a really nice display. And a lot of the pots that these plants are in are pots that I've made on my 3D printers. You can't really see them very well because, of course, the philodendrons are filling in the area quite well. But yeah, it's something I like to do. I like the look of it. And like I said, they live. So, have I bought anything new online? No, you will be shocked at that. Yes, I mean, if I don't order something from Amazon one day, they call me. Basically, it's like Amazon for me, Canadian Tire for Walter. But no, well, it's not true I haven't ordered anything. I do have some things coming in. I bought some parts for my 3D printers. That's boring. Nothing there to really talk about. I bought some filament. I bought some beard oil. Isn't that exciting? So nothing there to show you right now. And I don't really have any major purchases in the near future that I'm thinking of, although I am playing with the idea of buying another 3D printer, and you're going to go, good God, man, you have 5 of them. Why do you need a 6th one? Well, it's not to have a 6th one. It's to replace my oldest printer with one of the newer ones. But I don't know. I'm so attached to all of the printers. And although the oldest one doesn't really get used at all much, I have a fondness in my heart for it. Yeah, you'd think it was a cat or something. But anyways, I don't know. I do need to get my rear-ending gear and get Lucy room. I keep talking about this and I keep putting it off. Getting her re-established, reorganized, all that stuff. And that involves some IKEA purchases. And I was thinking this morning, I'm kind of between projects at the moment, or I've got a couple of projects on hold for one reason or another. And maybe this would be an opportune time to start organizing the junk I want to get rid of out of that room. If I start doing that, then maybe, just maybe, I could get that part done before the summer is done. we'll see how that goes. Anyways, so speaking of 3D printing, can I print that 3D effing thing? I've got 3 little video clips that I want to show you. Actually, I have a picture first, and then I have, or no, I think I have these are all in video format. Yeah. One of the things is dragon flower pots. You know, lately I've had this real kick on printing these articulated dragons, right? I love them. And so I thought, can I do something just a little different with them? So I made a dragon flower pot, and I've got a little video about that. And well, let me put that in here right now. So it is not a video clip. I forgot. I just took a picture of this. So this is, it's a little bright. I took that thimble can design that I use for a lot of things, and I altered its size a little bit, and I merged it with one of the articulated dragons, and this was the end result. And my idea here, this would make a really cool flower pot. This one was my first effort, and I thought it was a little too shallow, so I made one a little bigger. And that's not quite as big as it looks in the picture. I took it up close, and there's a little bit of a glare on it. But that's those articulated dragon, and his tail is the only thing that really moves on this, because with the pot embedded into him, it keeps the rest of the articulated pieces from moving around. I just thought it was something a little different, and now that you've seen my philodendrons, I have some that are rooting that I'm going to plant in this. I should do that today too. Note to self, plant philodendrons. Just something a little different. But what I'm illustrating here too, for those of you that want to get into or just getting into 3D printing, if you don't know how to use the AutoCAD programs for designing your own unique things, and I am one of those people, you can still make some unique things by merging existing models like I'm doing here. And I do this quite a bit. I take 2 or 3 different objects and I put them in the slicer program, and I move them together and merge them to create something different. So again, this is just me playing. So carrying on with that, where do you get models? People ask me, where do I get my images and things that I slice and print? Well, there are 2 principal places I go to, but there are many others. One is Thingiverse, which is great because everything on Thingiverse is free, and there are thousands upon thousands of things that you can get there. And then another one that recently I've been going to a little bit more is more of a paid site. You pay for the models, but they are higher quality in most cases, and they're not that expensive. That's where the articulated dragon came from. I think I paid $5 Canadian for that, and you know, I've used it a lot. I certainly got my money's worth from that. So that's called 3D Quilts. So I've made a little video about what these are and how you get into them and what you can expect to find. I'm going to insert that video clip here. A lot of people have asked me, especially people just getting into 3D printing, where do you get your models? Models are basically the objects you want to print. And there are 2 principal places that I go to, but there are more than just these 2. But these are the 2 I'm going to focus on today. The first one is called Thingiverse, and I have it here up on the screen, and you can see this, and there'll be a link for it in the show notes below. But this is probably the most popular 3D model website because everything on here is free. There's no charge for any of these, and you name it, they have it. There are literally thousands upon thousands of items in this on this site. Now, not all of these items, because they are free, work well in your 3D printer, so it's kind of hit and miss. But many of the creators of these have given you tips and tricks to make a successful print. Now you can see here how they organize it. They do have a search bar at the very top, and so you plug in what you are looking for. You're looking for gnomes, you're looking for planters, you're looking for a lamp, whatever, and you'll get pages after pages of different designs that you can download. You can also do one popular the last 30 days. I believe they have one popular in the last 7 days, and you can filter this down. It can be all things, or things for your 3D printers or gadgets or hobby or household, and there's lots of others. And then you can filter by makes, by users who's put them up, customizable, all kinds of things. So there's a lot of different search methods of search you can go to find something. There is also, if you go, I'm just trying to find here, saw these, and 3D printing toys and games, other, and they show you a picture of what most of the items are going to look like. They give you a rating system on the side, how many people have liked this, if there are any comments as well about the item. So for example, let's say I really like this Superman zombie. So all I have to do is click on it and ignore that. You will get advertisements on this site. That's how they finance it. It's free for you to use. The models are free, but you are going to have to put up with advertising. So here's the Superman zombie. They show you what it looks like when it's printed out. Usually when you see it in blue, that is what it might look like before it is printed out. That's what it looks like in the 3D program that they've used to model it. Sometimes there's more than one piece. In the case of this, there's a stand for the Superman zombie, then Superman himself. And then if you go down on the page a little bit more, you'll get a summary of what's happening here. Some post-printing things. Oftentimes they'll have YouTube videos to show you some of the trickier prints. This is an advertisement. This is an advertisement for the creator of that particular model. Then they have a license, and you want to read this carefully because some things are in what's called under Creative Commons, which means you can share them and possibly even sell them if you were going to go to a trade fair or something like that. Others will say, no, you have to have the permission or you have to pay a fee. So read that carefully so you're not violating copyright. On this particular model, I'm not seeing any more information about printing it, but oftentimes they will have more information about what your settings should be in your 3D printer, that kind of thing, what filament they used, all of that. No comments for this one, and no remakes or remixes. Remixes are somebody created a model and the same person later on decided to make some refinements to it, or somebody else who didn't make the original model made some refinements to it. There's quite a bit of that that goes on. So you want usually to look at this and think about what will give you the best result. So look at these remixes and things like that and read the notes to see what people have done to improve the model. And then of course it's download, and you download it to your computer and away you go. Often they're in a zip file. If there are multiple parts, for example, they will be in a zip file. So you will have to unzip that. And then you take that file, which will be in usually an STL file, that'll be the extension. You'll need to put it into your slicer program to make a computerized version of it that will print with your printer. And those are usually called or have the extension G-code, G-C-O-D-E, G-code. So as I said, Thingiverse is a great site, especially when you're first starting out, because they have thousands upon thousands of models that you can print, and they're free. Now, if you want to upgrade your experience a little bit, the other site is 3D Quilts, and I've just recently started getting some of the models from this. This is one that is more of a paid site, where what I mean by that is you actually pay the creator of the model who's put it up here for it. They're usually not that expensive. Some are free. Like if you look on this one's free, but this one's going to cost you $41.28. Well, that particular one is huge. This one's $20.58. Again, depending on the intricacy of the model. Well, that one looks like fun. $1.35. One of those old cube things. Just saw that. I'm trying to find a better example of a price. I'm hitting all the expensive ones right now. Yeah, there's a $3 one. The ones that aren't as complicated are usually less expensive. You've seen the dragons that I've made. They came from this site. They cost me about $5. Canadian, oops, there's a few on here that might be a little questionable. That's another thing. Do be careful. Some people create naughty models as well. You're going to find a lot of naked women, as in models on here, or warrior princesses that have parts of their body hanging out, or other fun things like, I don't know if you saw the one I just quickly went past, but I'm not going back to that. But this is a great site for real high quality models. And I guess the old adage, you get what you pay for, because yeah. Now, if you have a problem with it when you're printing it and you paid a lot of money for it, I'm not sure what your recourse is. I've never had a problem that where I felt I needed to go back to the creator of the model and complain. But I think there may be a facility for it. So, I mean, you can do a search on here too. It has a search engine. Let's just go to the top. Way up here on the top, explore, and it gives you all the different categories that are there. You can upload. If you are somebody who's a little bit more advanced in 3D printing and you know how to use the AutoCAD programs for creating your own, you can upload them here and you can charge money for that. Now, you may have to join this site, but to join it, it's free. So don't worry about that the first time you come on here. It wants you to join. It's perfectly legit. They put things in collections, and I kind of like this feature because, like collapsible things, print in place things, all kinds of different categories, figurines, benchies, dice, games, snakes, whatever. And that is a quick way to scan through different things if you're looking for something in a particular category. So this is a very robust website, and there's a lot to choose from. But as I said, you may have to pay. You may find something you like, and you'll have to decide whether or not it's worth the money that you like. And also, you can have this put in the currency of your country. I have it set right now for Canadian, but you can change it to all these other currencies if you want. So you can change it to the currency for your country. And I believe that the way you pay for these is credit card, but it may also use PayPal. So that's 3D Quilts and Thingiverse. Both are sites I go to quite often to get up models and also give me ideas for things that I might want to create. So I will put the links for both of these sites in the show notes below. Now, as much fun as I have with 3D printers, if you're buying a new 3D printer, and it doesn't matter what brand you buy, at some point you will have some problems with it. And it can be very frustrating. I know when I first got into 3D printing, I didn't have a clue about clogs, or that I needed to replace my nozzle every now and then, or things like that. And it scared me the first time I had to pull one apart. Doesn't scare me so much now. Now it's more of an annoyance kind of a thing. But I had something go wrong in 3/4 of the way of a print, and that's usually when something goes wrong. And I was printing one of those articulated dragons again, and I was using my very fancy multicolored matte finished PLA, which I absolutely love. And, PLA isn't, in the big scheme of things, is not that expensive, around $30 for a 1 kilogram roll. That will make a lot of articulated dragons, actually. But the articulated dragons, even on the new printers that are 4 times faster than my old ones, it still takes over 24 hours of steady printing. So I had 2 hours left to go, and I happened to look over at the printer because I was listening, and it sounded like it had finished. Well, it hadn't. It wasn't spewing forth filament, hadn't for a while, so the very tops of the wings and the head of my dragon weren't there. Well, at that point, there's not a thing you can do about it. And I knew I must have had a block, a plug. Now, this was on the new printer. I had replaced the nozzles before, but I hadn't figured out how to get rid of a block or a plug. And the thing was, I needed to take it apart like more of it apart than just replacing the nozzle. And that was a little scary at first, but I went to YouTube, found a great video, easy peasy. I got that thing disassembled, unplugged, reassembled in under 15 minutes. Now, if that had been one of my older 3D printers, that would have been more involved. So I have to say kudos to Creality. They really were thinking when they developed these newer printers that I have. And I think they could make them even easier to get into, and that may come. But anyways, I thought I'd just show you quickly what happens when a 3D print goes wrong. I made a little tiny short video about that.
When you own a 3D printer, you have to expect that there's going to be a lot of tinkering with it, and there's going to be repairs that have to be done on a regular basis, and you're going to get something like this. This was a print that's been going since early yesterday. It's been printing for about almost close to 24 hours. It only had about 2 hours left to go, and then I looked over at my printer and realized that there wasn't any filament coming out, and so this is what we got. Partial stuff. Like, it's not finished, it's not completed, and I can't do anything about that. I can't fix this model, so basically it's a waste of filament. So money, time, the whole bit. I haven't come up with an idea of how I could use this. I thought about taking one of my little scrap buckets and sticking it on top of it, but I don't think I will do that. I don't know, I might glue it to that bucket. We'll see. It seems like a waste to throw it away. But I thought I'd illustrate or show you this to illustrate the point that these things will happen. And I had to figure out where the clog was. Well, that wasn't hard. There was a piece of filament trapped in the hot end of the KE printer of the Ender 3 version 3 KE. And I have replaced the nozzle before. But I've never really pulled it apart to take out a major clog. And so I did go on YouTube and I found a video that was very, very helpful. And actually, it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So it took me maybe 10 minutes to, disassemble it, unclog it, put it back together again, and put it on. If this had been one of the original Ender 3s or the Ender 3 version 2, it would have taken me a lot longer. So don't be intimidated about fixing your printers if you get a clog or you need to replace a nozzle or something like that. These new ones, at least by Creality, are much easier to get into and to fix things. They've really improved the design greatly since my very first Creality printer. But I thought I'd show you this because this is the reality of 3D printing.
Okay, enough about 3D printing, my other hobby. Let's take a look at what I used to have as a hobby. I've been doing this as a series going back 11, 12 years ago when I first got on YouTube and the videos I made then. Good for a laugh, going down memory lane. Well, one of the things that I got real excited about was making something that was called an exploding box. It was actually a type of album, but it looked like a box. And when you took the cover off the box, it all folded out. Thus, the reason it was called an exploding box. And like I told you, I like making unique things on my 3D printer. Well, when I was doing paper crafting, I like to make unique things as well. And this is one of them. Now, in this particular video clip, it only runs about 3 minutes. I'm showing off the finished product. There's no sound on this particular video. I didn't have a voiceover or anything about it. I just simply open up the pages of the box and show them to you. So please do not adjust your volume. There just isn't any sound for this little clip. Okay, so that takes me to events in the past week. Well, we had an emergency pop-up sew day, and many of you were there. Thank you. Why was there an emergency pop-up sew day on Saturday? Well, it was because I didn't find out until Thursday that Walter had a sew day of his own with his garment sewing buddies. The guy who organizes it doesn't necessarily answer his emails when people are inquiring as to whether they're having his day or not. But he finally did. So I put out the word. I was going to be home alone all day working sewing, so I like company. And so thank you for those of you that came. You kept me company. It was lots of fun, as it always is. Next pop-up sew day, coming soon, probably Labor Day weekend, the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Haven't finalized that yet, but if you're one that are free then, you might want to pencil me in for whatever that date is. I think that's the 31st of August. Double check that to make sure. But anyways, that will be probably the next one, but I'll give you lots of warning on that. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh, yes. This is probably going to be a long video today because there's lots of little video clips, but I have another video clip for you of the quilt show at the ROM. Actually, no, I don't. I am not putting that in here. If you're interested in that, I went to, the ROM is the Royal Ontario Museum. If you're interested in that, then tune in to the Idiot Quilter tomorrow because that is where the little video will be at that point in time. Okay, that's it for me today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll pick up on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow, and of course, Sew Chatty. And I think on Sew Chatty this week, we are finishing up our series on cover stitching and serger machines. And then, of course, Stephen and Walter live on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Oh, and I'm making a special appearance on Stephanie Stitches live on Saturday afternoon. I think she said she was putting it at a new time. She usually does it around 5, but I think she's doing it a little bit earlier at 4. And I think we'll be sewing on a pattern by Tracy Perks called In Pieces. So, yeah, lots coming up. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye for now.